Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to Unity Live. I am Brooklyn Rain.
I'm Emily Ghosh. So grateful to be here with everyone on this potent day. It really feels like a continuation of energy from our last transmission, which was, I don't even know
Like
at
2 years ago
yeah.
and a minute ago,
All at the same time.
simultaneously. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But there's just been this steady energy of transformation, of healing, of change, really moving through a huge rebirthing period. We've moved through such a potent eclipse portal and the total solar eclipse on the 8th. And, now today we're moving through one of the most significant astrological events of 2024, which were
Feels like it. Yeah, and I would say, I don't know about everybody else, but the last 3 days, it's like, wait a second, like, let me just go look in the mirror for a second to make sure I even look the same right now, because everything is in such a huge flow of metamorphosis that it just feels like our operating systems are up leveling by the second, right? And of course, the more we're attuning ourselves to the 0 point, to directing our consciousness in the full identity, as witnessing presence, or the present moment, it's like that access point grants so much transformation in zero time, right? Zero time.
Yeah. And I think it was Nadia who expressed, getting comfortable with with the change, with the new. And that's a perfect theme, I feel, for the energy of this time. I was reflecting on a reading that I recently gave, and the incarnation crossed of that individual was the cross of the unexpected.
Mm.
And really, the essence of that energy is about making magic out of the unexpected. And really, as we enter into Taurus season, it's about creating safety in our nervous systems, in our physical bodies. It's about creating a sense of spaciousness and trust with the new, with the change. And I believe there's a sense of almost contrasting energy with this huge energy system that's taking place in Taurus at 21 degrees 49 minutes, which is Uranus and Jupiter conjunct. And when there is a conjunction in astrology, it's a blending of energy. And so we'll talk a little bit about the energy of these planetary bodies, but the fact that this is taking place in the sign of Taurus, in the Taurus mansion, is highly significant. This hasn't happened in 84 years, since 1941. These planets meet up every 14 years, but it's been quite a long time since they met in the sign of Taurus. And Taurus is uncomfortable a little bit with change. There is a resistance of change. And so there's this idea of getting comfortable with the unexpected and embracing it.
Yeah, and getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, because let's face it, the washing machine analogy that one of us downloaded last time, and the wave, yeah, I was like, wow, I didn't realize to what degree, the spin cycle going one way, the spin cycle going the other way, and then, riding the wave, floating, oh yeah, receiving all these revelations, and then, finding ourselves sort of back at, ground level, and integrating and finding our true north within these massive systems of rebirth and change taking place. So just as much as unexpected, which of course, as we know, is such a huge pillar of an access point, right, to self-realization, letting go of all expectations, letting go of all attachments to what has been, so that we can open the full gateways and the flow of facilitating what we are at the core essence of our soul selves, which is creation anew. And yeah, so it makes perfect sense in what has been taking place. And even though you're saying, and I love, not knowing that today marks the day of, Taurus. Is today the
Actually,
official?
the night, so yesterday.
Oh, yesterday, okay. Because I'm like, in the last few days, the energetics of Aries, right? This like go-getter, get it done, like tons of, creational information coming through, forward movement has up-leveled, in my personal experience with it, to a degree in which I haven't even felt through the entire Aries season. Like I've felt it trickling in and coming here and there. So maybe it's an expression of, and I'm seeing like a bunch of balloons and being able to get the strings and kind of bring them down and ground them. And I know from your previous expressions and sharings of Taurus energy, it tends to be a grounding energy, right? A very earth energy.
It does. There's such a divine design from starting in Aries with the I am energy and then moving into the Taurus mansion, which is a fixed earth sign. And it is about being able to create the sustainability and have the patience and the dedication to see something through, to cultivate the seeds, to tend to the garden, to really ground things into the physical form. There's a sense of really dedication. The archetype of Taurus is the architect, the builder, also the artist, the chef. There is such multi-dimensional energy to Taurus, and there's such a connection to the earth. And so when we move into Taurus, Aries really like lights the spark. It's that fire energy that helps us connect with that forward movement, that innovation, that visionary desire. And then Taurus helps us to move at a little bit slower pace that is more sustainable, that is more spacious. Taurus is that yin receptive energy ruled by Venus. So such a connection to beauty and creativity and art and all of the senses. Taurus really embraces being in a physical body.
Okay, I love this. You can't even make this stuff up, because the downloads that were coming in about the physical body, this might be a good segue into that. And excuse me from referencing notes, but there were so many revelations and downloads coming in the last 24 hours. I was like, wow. I'm glad it is Taurus season and I do feel more grounded, because otherwise I'm not sure what would have happened. So yes, so what was coming through in that is all the different ways in which the plasmic fields of participation, what was spoken of in our last transmission, and the energetic aspect of how this golden sphere of potential has resurrected its entry point and its accessibility through our sun, through the central sun, right? And all sort of mirrored micros and macros of the central sun. And in that, again, it shows itself in visual presentation as this massive ring with all like a seemingly infinite amount of portal accesses, and it's in a rotation. And so, when spring equinox took place, it felt like it kind of came into and said, hi, I'm here, and let me start to facilitate and acclimate myself to, to all the different layers and levels of the fabric of creation within, what has been the third dimensional matrix and all the octaves of dimensional range in which we're moving into greater access and foundation of, right? And then, as April continued, or April began, and April continues, all sorts of reconfigurations and access points opening up and really facilitating an insurmountable and unquantifiable access to what is, through my perception, the original creatrix codex of not only Earth and the universal system, of which gets a little tricky because there are many dimensional ranges, right? Like an accordion throughout the different access points of, let's say, for all intents and purposes, the Akash of the history of Earth and all systems of creation within it. However, we're most speaking of, I feel like at this point still of that, this in between state that we're in, which still a lot of the collective sort of critical mass of humanity still widely and greatly participates within the third dimensional framework, right, of creation. So the original tri-wave codex, the tri-wave frequency, the Trinity codex, is coming in and palpating in such huge ways right now, and waves. And everybody's access to it, of course, is going to be unique to their own blueprint. Because one thing that was coming through too, while I was getting ready, we were just talking about bathroom downloads. We're like, what's up with the bathroom? And why are so many downloads coming in the bathroom? I mean, no matter what you're doing in there, downloads are coming in. I'm like, okay, I guess it's a portal. Who knew? But, so here we are, and everything's shifting. Even our relationship with the fabric and the constructs of what has been most widely accepted and known as astrology. So many systems are coming into, it's like they were here, they've been participating. As we know, everything is taking place simultaneously and always has been. And now it's like things are going to start revealing themselves, like that were previously invisible and are going to begin to appear, right? Because our access to these huge flows and influxes of solar frequencies, diamond frequencies, tri-wave frequencies are bringing sort of a medium, if you will, for greater revelation and greater access and greater sight, right? So it's beyond just the melting of the veils of illusion and how we most often perceive that, meaning, the dissolve of the egoic complex. And yes, certainly that. But it's far beyond that. Things, systems and access points, are being revealed in huge ways. And the physical body is like, tend to your garden. So I love how you bring in like planting the seeds and Taurus and the physical body, and because the physical body is our divine instrument, right? We're here, we're human avatars. We chose whether we're in resistance to that or not. And that's a big point of discussion today too. It's like coming out of warring frequency with the higher truth that, we chose this incarnation, right? And we chose to come in and physically be in these beautiful temples and human suits. So coming out of, and there's so many facets to it and so many, entry points to how, so this is more of sort of the practical application of how we can prepare the physical body to receive all these layers and levels of profound energies and potentials, right? Come home, right? Come home, find a way to ground. Just as this is taking place for humanity, albeit the egoic complex, the thinking mind is very egocentric, thinking that everything that's taking place right now is for the human and the human alone. We know that that couldn't be further from the truth, right? So Gaia is on an unwavering trajectory of ascension, whether humanity continues to show up and ascend or not. And gratefully, all the things that are downloading suggest it is, maybe not without a fight and a struggle, but yes. So in these epic systems and portal accesses and solar plasma frequencies of the Trinity Codex resurrecting into greater participation, the elements of which have long been diluted, right, through the sort of the diminishing and the attempts to wipe out the indigenous peoples and the people that have carried, the torches and the great depths of deep connection to the earth, and the wisdom of how the elements play such a huge role in our ability to ascend, in our ability to evolve consciously, right? We've got, there's so many programs. I mean, you just name it, electronics and houses and, blah, 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 right? We could go on forever. That has taken us away from that deep, unified connection. I am you, you are me, we are one, earth, air, fire, water, ether, diamond, blue plasma, right? So they're unstoppable in their evolutionary trajectory, right? Yes, they interface the collective, human collective template and what it could be similarly described as the Gaian, template, if you will, that holds kind of a relationship similarly to the collective template in the construction of the third dimensional matrix, whereby, everything is programmed. And so it has had, if you will, certain systems of quantum connection to, let's say, the emotional body, the mental body, the physical body, and the spirit body. So Gaia has her own, macro of our micro of that system, albeit she's transforming and transcending any of the limitations of what still exists within the critical mass of humanity's interface of that. And thankfully so, because it sets the tempo and it creates even greater access point for us. So in that, the elements are coming into the highest expression of their ascension blueprint trajectory right now. And so the more we can spend time and whatever way, whatever spiritual tools and, and methodology that we all participate in on a regular basis, the more that we can attune and bring into participation, coming back into the full, dissolve of separation from the elements and into the full participation and curiosity and, joyful exploration of how we can attune ourselves more to becoming unified with them. The physical body has an opportunity to really dismantle, transform, transmute so much of the current interface and hijacking of the nervous system, which, as we know, if we're in heightened states of fight or flight, very little tends to be effective in way of our participation of tending to our garden, right? If we have this is funny, and I don't even know why I'm agreeing with my highest self to say this right now, but if we have we're out in the garden and we're like taking the shovel and, shoveling, we're tearing everything apart, right? That's not going to be an effective way to tend to our garden, right? It's unsustainable. It causes disruption. There's no harmonics in that. So similarly, the nervous system, right? If we, and many different things have kind of come into how we can approach it, right? Some low-hanging fruits of how we can approach this deeper relationship with really healing the physical body, nurturing the physical body, grounding the physical body, so that we can, as gracefully and smoothly as we've put it in our blueprints to experience, receive the up-leveling, right? That it's already happening, but it's like, are we creating the terrain and the soil to be able to ground it into participation and foundation? And our ability to do that really has a huge impact on whether our nervous system handles these big and epic times that we're going through right now. So spending time in nature as much as possible, right? Finding ways to go out and, take things that we don't have to do inside and that we can do outside, and, and create new pathways, respond to the universe differently, right? Cleansing, purifying. There's so much muck and myrrh that exists within our physicality right now. Even those of us who have been on this path of recognizing the significance and importance of this for a long time, it's like, I hear it all the time. And now what more can be done, right? Going deeper and deeper and deeper into the levels and layers of participation, of purification, cleansing, but equal parts deep cellular nourishment. So, we tend to default to a punishing frequency of like, okay, I got to clean myself, we're not at war with anything within our physical body, right? And that's a huge part of it. It's like, how am I participating in this deep calling to up level and assist in the upgrade from carbon-based DNA to crystalline DNA within the physical body? Am I doing it from, this place of, I am immaculate, unconditional love and compassion? I'm doing this to assist in the coming back into the unified field of one with my physical, mental, emotional, spirit body? Or am I defaulting to all the many, many, many nefarious yet brilliant programs, societal programs, which have really aligned us to be in resistance when we hear about doing a cleansing, or a purification, or removing certain things from our lifestyle? It's like, we instantaneously access like the depression programs and codexes, right? And, and poverty programs, and, and we go into this deeper fight or flight. So a whole reconfiguration, reattuning, and new way of participating in this. And two systems come in as sort of perhaps a great focal point for all, because every system comes in and we know they're not separative of one another. But I said, okay, as I was being shown everything, I'm like, how in the world do you bring this into a clear and organized conversation? Show me what the priority is, or, what the low hanging fruit is, or where, what are a few of the systems that can be a great entry point and focal point at this point in time. The liver and the lymphatic system, because they're two of the most significant systems. They're like two motherships of filtration and communication, and so much takes place from these two systems. And specifically, the lymphatic system is highly, if you go back into ancient and indigenous practices, and that's another thing that came in really, really clearly, like, go back to the old, as the new, right? Go back and start getting excited and kind of digging in to the soils of all the profound indigenous wisdoms, and connecting with the plants and, and the earth and all the resources that are available and always have been, but have been diminished through big pharma and industrialization and fake food and all the things, right, that we all know about. It's boring. We won't go into that. We're all experts on that at this point anyways, right? So, going back to the roots and really connecting into that. But the lymphatic system is a massive highway and byway. And it's so gunky, and there's so, because it too is like a filtration device, and it's filtering so much stuff beyond what we even think about. It's filtering all of these frequencies, the 5G frequencies, everything that's beaconing out, plus the things that we're putting into our body, that we're breathing into our body, etc. So, and what was shown, and I have no actual like scientific research of this or evidence of this, but there's a very significant relationship between the lymphatic system and the nervous system, because if the lymphatic system is flowing and conduiting and healthy, and then it's very supportive and nurturing and creates this supple environment to assist in certain frequencies and certain crystalline filaments to support our nervous system. And the liver, of course, we know it carries the burden of pretty much all levels and layers of toxicity. And I've been hearing a lot in this last year too, because I started getting this message last year for really focusing on the liver, but now it comes in as like dropping in an even bigger way. Happy liver, happy life. Happy liver, access to all the higher codes of crystalline access, right? So yeah, I'll pause there. I know that was
Wow.
a lot coming through on that, but there's so much more to that too. It's yeah.
Happy liver, happy life.
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful. And I can see why that would be. It's such a integral part of our being and our bodies. So wow. I want to go back to something that you said there, which was about warring frequencies and really coming into a place and space of love for our physical vessels. And I feel that's so key at this time for a multitude of reasons. But the Taurus mansion rules the second house in astrology, and that is connected to, yes, finances and possessions. It's connected to what we value, our resources, but it's also connected to how we value and appreciate ourselves, right? And so there's this idea of self-love that is embraced, and a theme that comes up during this time. And I feel it's significant to mention that we are at such an integral crossroads of technology and distractions, and really the greatest piece of divinity is our physical temples. And so I feel so many of the distractions are to keep us from the divinity that we have within, and from coming into the full scope of our multidimensional abilities and gifts. And there's an energy of Uranus that is a bridger of worlds. And so there's connecting with the cosmos, with matter and spirit. And so it's about, with Taurus, connected to Gaia, connected to the earth, but also connected to the cosmos, connected to all of existence, and being able to bridge that into reality, into being. And really our physical vessels being such a key aspect of that connection.
Okay, I just love this. I know I keep saying that, but I just can't help it. It's so incredible. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so one thing that came through directly from the voice of Gaia is the elements in Gaia are on an unwavering path of evolution and ascension. The invitation is for humanity to remember that we are not separate of Gaia and the elements, but rather we are one. In daily remembrance and participation and activation of this unified field of resurrecting within, humanity shifts into a much smoother collective transition out of the dualistic third dimensional matrix and into the higher dimensional range of existence. So purifying again and opening the channels of clear communication, physical rebirth. And again, free of all inner warring with our choice to be a human incarnate, free of all warring frequencies with our physical bodies. So where are we in war with the disease that, that's within? Where are we at war with the discomfort within, discordance within, appearance, our physical appearance, right? We are the sovereign directors and creators of our physical temples. How we are in relationship to them through our thoughts, words, beliefs, emotions, and actions is and constantly rewriting the script of our DNA, which therefore, our DNA doesn't have, it's a neutral complex, if you will, right? It just awaits for us as source, the powerful sovereign beings we are, and it takes the wave frequencies of our thoughts, our words, and our actions, and it sends out it's like beep, 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 right? Yeah. Like a telegram, and it's directing what physically manifests within our body. And of course, we know that, right? We know that there's no separation between our physical, let's just take trauma for an instance, you know, physical trauma, emotional trauma, mental trauma, and spiritual trauma. When those systems are engaged and take place, they imprint within all of our bodies, inclusive of the physical tissue within the DNA. And then it's just left to our individual and unique blueprint to discern to what degree of animation and participation it creates in any one of those bodies. The physical body often takes the brunt of a lot of it because of the, you know, the physical nature of our of the reality that we are in, and bridging, you know, beyond sort of our relationship with physicality, you know, it's coming into a whole new way. So a big nudge to reevaluate and alchemize our relationships with our, oh, okay, sorry, I went into something else. Okay, so, but yes, everything that you're saying is so exciting and so in accordance and congruence to what's coming in and through. And particularly with the dissolve of warring and the coming into love. But when you touched on the value system, one of the other remembrances that had come through in the last few days is this is a really profound and epic gateway and system to let go and dissolve all masks of inauthentic expression and identification. And here's the thing that I was seeing. It's an invitation, and yet it's happening, right? So it's an invitation to consciously participate in that and get excited about it and dive into it and utilize all of our tools and you know, and so forth that we've accumulated to dissolve those and to release those. And, you know, those who are choosing, which we are the choosers of our choices and the directors of our light ships, right? Those who are choosing to not do it, right? To kind of be in resistance to that, you know, to the change, if you will, will find it increasingly more uncomfortable to navigate these false personas, if you will, and, you know, and these different identities, because the harmonics of this gateway, this conjunction that are taking place right now is, and I was tapping into high self. I'm like, can you come up with a new word? But apparently not. You know, brings everything into right flow, if you will. And it's not right meaning right or wrong, but direct pathway to aligning ourselves to be able to walk over that bridge. To, or, you know, we can walk over it, we can crawl over it, we can, you know, or we can glide over it, right? And so, yeah, there's so much opportunity. When I was saying to Em before we started today, I was like, I don't even know where to begin. Like, I don't know what's going on with this conjunction right now, but I feel like it touches on every single, you know, facet of the creational fabric of what we're experiencing here. There's so much potential in it. So one of the things that came up within that too is not only letting go of other people's value systems and perceptions of how we're supposed to be, right? Because as we know, we're peeling those masks and dissolving those masks because no one was ever meant to be the same. We are unique expressions of source. We are eternal creation anew. So we are a system of rebirth and resurrection, and infinitely curious and infinitely desiring to create, you know, anew through our own lens of perception, through our own sound, plasma, and light system, and in a harmonic flow whereby, you know, we can communicate that and celebrate that at this particular, you know, within this particular ascension blueprint anyways, as the unified one, right? Yes. So the more we as the individual dissolve these masks and these multiple identities and these things that we've put in place for survival mechanisms, you know, based on the value systems external, right? The value systems deeply woven in separation and in illusion, the more we create the pathways and the invitations for others to be able to do the same. So that leads into the next big pillar that flowed through with this, because just as the value system is being sort of deeply brought forth into how are we not valuing ourselves and the unique expression and authentic expression of source that we are and always have been, but also a huge gateway to accessing what, through my lens of perception, is the Christos archetype of sovereignty. I mean, not sovereignty, abundance. And so access to abundance now, the true and highest and clearest and most sort of crystalline construct of abundance presents itself. And that is glorious, and that is exciting, and that has so much potential in it. And it's also, because of its palpating and ever-growing presence here, it is going to deeply challenge, because as it flows in, it's a multidimensional, multiversal consciousness field that is part of the, not only the Gaian highest blueprint and template, but that of the Christos template of humanity as well. And as it flows in, through all of these conjunctions and cosmic gateways anew, in their alignment, everything that we have placed value to and everything that we have previously perceived as abundance, and let's face it, as a collective, many perceive, whether they're willing to admit it or whether it's playing out on a subconscious level or a conscious level, even those, many of those within the spiritual communities, right, that are sort of in resistance of it, but still it's palpating through programs, seeing God or source as money, as that exchange, right? And so it's been so deeply woven, in the strings of the puppeteering of human consciousness for so long, and that can no longer be.
Yeah.
So, I've always sort of been like, a little bit bored with the conversation around the reconfiguration of the financial system and, and everything of this nature, not because, we're not all participating in it still, because we are, we're still playing the game, and we recognize it's like Monopoly. Okay, I need a couple of those bills so I can, go to Park Place or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's dissolving. It's dissolving quickly. So it's like, where can we open ourselves? Where can we let go of any preconceived beliefs, identities, values, and participation in what we have perceived abundance to be, so that we can gracefully navigate the deep embodiment of what abundance truly is.
1000%. I also tapped into that. And I think it's so important to highlight, because at this time, a lot of astrologers are talking about finances, the banking system, how currency is going to change. And I agree with you. I think it's really important for us to place our conscious currency on prosperity consciousness, on our own abundance that is self-sourced, that comes from within. There's a gene key that's the 53rd gene key, which is about superabundance. And it's really this idea that we, through our own authentic gifts, our own unique light, that is where our abundance comes and is sourced from. So no matter what the changes are in the currency, in the banking systems, when we are connected to that authenticity and our own divinity, we will be in a place of abundance. And so at this time, the axis of Taurus and Scorpio is being highlighted. In 3 days, we'll have the Scorpio full moon at 4 degrees, 18 minutes of Scorpio. And this is really the axis of value, of resources, of power, how we connect with our own power, how we're able to embrace that, and our own value. And so there is an invitation to release any places and spaces where we're hanging on to scarcity programming.
Yeah, and I will say, it goes deep, right? It is so deeply woven within the fabric of all layers and levels of this quantum program, if you will, this domain of third dimensional existence. And what, it's amazing. And What I would say to that is nothing like a good declarative statement to bring in and to attune. So if we feel overwhelmed with that because we recognize, and we have been recognizing, and now, again, I know this was mentioned in our previous forecast, but the subtle is no longer subtle. There is, we can no longer hide. All of, and that goes back to the masks again as well, right? All layers and levels of survival techniques and mechanisms that are beautiful, and we're grateful for them, and we understand them as teachers and gurus and and wisdom bringers and consciousness expanders. Yes, but they no longer hold a place within the dimensional range of what is coming and what is here and what is and where we're going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So dissolving our participation within these different ways in which we've disassociated, right? And so all of our ancestral imprints, all of our collective imprints, all of our soul imprints, are popping up front and center through the frequencies of diamond transparency and clarity and all the other layers and levels of these solar frequencies of original creational codex, of which we're all wanting to embody and to bring into participation, right? Through whether one's goal or desires to become fully enlightened, whatever the languaging is, right? The embodiment of I am presence, the resurrection of a monadic template. They all are similar in what they're describing, which is the coming back into the highest expression of our most exalted blueprint here, right? Coming out of separation, coming out of scarcity, coming out of feeling imprisoned, and right?
Mm.
So one of the mantras that came in that's a low, it's just so simple, and yet it does so much, especially again in the potential that is here through all these different gateways, is I am superabundance, I am.
Mm.
And and really allowing ourselves to, as should it resonate and should you try it on, as you're breathing in, allowing it to flow through and opening it up and feeling into it. Because when we make a declarative statement such as this, as the omnipotent beings of pure source we are, everything that is playing out within our physical, mental, emotional, and spirit bodies that has been programmed as a dualistic or polarizing frequency to that statement is going to flush itself to the surface, front and center. So preparing ourselves for the awareness of that, especially within the fields of transparency that are here, right? It's like, okay, ask and you shall receive. The receiving of it is as we're clearing the pathways of communication with the universe, right? With the different filaments of communication within the quantum fabric, to be able to gracefully, easefully, and instantaneously manifest all different layers and facets of what superabundance is to clear out all the coordinates that exist within us that are currently blocking us from receiving the full awareness and embodiment and knowing of that. So so it's a house clean, right? Make the command and then, utilize our alchemizing tools, whatever they may be, breath work, whatever. I always default to breath work, of course. Breath work. And I know there are other things too, right? Yeah. So using our tools, right, to assist our bodies. Okay, I am source, I'm making this declaration, and now all the parts of me that are in identity as something other than source, right, a victim programming, a childhood wound, whatever, are going to come front and center. And as the sovereign beings that we are, is, our job and our job alone is to determine, am I going to usher them home, bathe them in whatever frequencies they need, and resurrect a new fractal of wholeness within, or am I going to freak out and identify, as I previously have with these scarcity programs, and continue to participate and experience more of the same, which again, no judgment, no wrong or right. And, yet there's some clear pathways to how we take that declaration and become it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well, to your point, we are in the midst of immense change, and we have a choice about how we walk over the bridge, through our energy. And so I'd love to just touch a little bit upon, this conjunction, this energy system that's taking place, because I feel like you've described it so much from an energetic, from an intuitive perspective. And, I think it's important to look at the bigger picture, which is we are in the midst of tremendous change. And we mentioned 2027, a significant, milestone in our trajectory. But what's interesting about the 2027 is we're moving from the cross of planning to the cross of the sleeping phoenix. And that is all about individuation. It's about moving from more of a tribal way of being and relating to embracing our own unique gifts, talents, ways of being, quirkiness. It's about really embracing those places and spaces that make us unique and different. And how do you change a system that is so big as this planetary system? Well, it takes breakdowns and breakthroughs. So that's what we're in the midst of. And it's about really looking at those breakdowns as the gifts and the blessings that they are, because they're leading us somewhere great, somewhere beautiful. And what's interesting about these two planetary energies of Uranus and Jupiter, the similarity is that they're future oriented. So they're bringing us to the future in a big and powerful way. Some of the mantras connected with Uranus are I rebel, I liberate, I innovate, I individuate, right? It's that freedom. It can be that chaotic energy. It's this rebellious energy. It is an awakening energy, awakening us to higher consciousness. And I think it's significant to point out, if we say, oh, the planets, astrology, that's all woo woo. I don't believe that. Well, there's something to, a midlife crisis, right? A time in life that we may have heard of or know somebody where they're going through a lot of significant changes. And maybe there's an emphasis on freedom, on liberation, on really becoming their authentic selves. Well, one of the most significant transits that we undergo is Uranus opposition. And that takes place between the ages of 37 and 44. So it's a highly significant energy, and it's meant to liberate us. It's meant to bring forward all of the authentic parts of us to be celebrated, to be embraced. And what is the energy of Jupiter? Jupiter is, I believe, I expand. It is this energy of abundance. It can be the energy of overindulgence, but it is a bigness. There's a magnitude to Jupiter. And these energies coming together, I feel, are significant to help us to dream an even bigger dream for ourselves and look at the places and spaces where perhaps we're playing small. Perhaps we're afraid to take risks. Perhaps we're afraid to be ourselves. And it's about bringing us into the fullness and the bigness of who we are and who we came here to be. And to realize that we came here for just a time as this. And there's no significance that we are all here on planet Earth at this time, and all of our unique gifts and voices are needed at this time. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, about communicating with the head and the heart to bring us forward into a new octave of consciousness.
Okay, this might be why I was doing spiritual rap skits in my bathroom before this transmission today. I was like, oh, I'm not doing that on Unity. And I'm not, by the way, just as a side note. But I was like, how awesome would it, and I had, So yes, like coming into the full embrace and celebration of our authentic expression of self, the fun, the joy. There is nothing more freeing than dissolving, taking anything personally, than dissolving. And when I say dissolving, not in a warring, not in a combative, maybe the most exalted expression of the rebellion, right? Which is not a rebellion, me against them, me against you, but a rebellion of, I'm ready to dissolve and unzip and dismantle and transmute, this persona that has, yes, led me through so many layers and levels of greater mastery and experience through the dualistic and polarizing systems of the mind hive. And now I'm rebelling against that, so that I can have the courage and the fortitude to actually dissolve it and step out into my
spiritual
into
wrap.
my spiritual wrap. Yeah. So I love that. It's so, yeah, spot on. And one of the things that came through too, and I feel like this plays into all of it, is there's a huge dissolve, and we've been hearing it and we've been seeing it and we've been knowing it, and but really it feels like in all that is aligning in such, in this way, a big dissolve of the systems that were built in, service to self, the systems that were built in holding a huge collective mask, masking the truth of our origin, masking the truth of our divine nature as the sovereign, powerful individuation that is a fractal of the whole, right? And so what at the forefront of this, and I know this is always a little controversial, but is the dissolve of organized, any of the programs and systems and stories and so forth of the constructs of organized religion. Because so many of, and again, no judgment through it. I see the divine perfection in all of it, right? I've come into this week especially, and I'm so grateful for it. I may start crying. This real beautiful higher awareness of the perfection of every single system of creation. There is no bad, there is no good. Everything is just a system of creation that has a place of participation. And it just so happens that we chose to come into this cycle, as a human avatar and incarnate, to experience the depths of duality and separation and polarity, and to resurrect once again into a system of unity, into a system of service to all, right? Into a system of marveling in the unique individuation I am, and I am you, you are me, we are one, right? So, is the dualistic and polarizing system of creation bad? Nope, it just is, right? And so coming out of that warring frequency allows us such great spaciousness. So when we come out of that warring frequency and we come into, into greater attunement with sort of the eagle eye perspective, which from my vantage point lies within neutrality, lies from within taking the seat of, I am the witnessing presence, right? Then we can see so many depths and depths and depths and layers of the quantum fabric of reality and how all these systems are playing out and interwoven and intertwined. And we can see that, there are these systems that created stories and so forth, to be able to further play out and create these opportunities for us to come into greater depths of mastery, right? And yet they're dissolving now. In our collective intention, albeit everybody uniquely holds their own participation within that, collective intention, but the collective blueprint is to come back into a state of unity, a dissolve of separation, a dissolve of the veils of illusion. And in doing so, these big systems are dissolving. Well, it just so happens a lot of the touch points of what's been brought in astrologically and otherwise, fall within, the weaving of a lot of these programs, which is, self-sacrificing programs, giving, and you're depleted and they're enabled type of thing, right? So the dismantling of the enable you, enable me, enable you, dissolving, right? So that we can come into these greater depths and access of that sovereignty. And sovereignty equals full access and embodiment of all of our superpowers, if you will, right? So yeah, once again, it's such a beautiful time that we're in it feels like there's just no limitation to other than our own beliefs and what we attune to what can be accessed and what can be potentialized right now.
Yeah, there's so much that's happening energetically and astrologically to support us in further liberation and further rebirthing and further transmutation. And it just seems like one thing after another. I mean, with this eclipse portal coming to this, significant conjunction, and then in 3 days, we have the Scorpio full moon, which is really a huge cathartic release. Full moons are always about release, but the energy of this full moon is really significant because there is a very tight square between Pluto and Aquarius and the sun and the moon. And that is really further dissolving these hierarchies, these systems and structures to bring us into greater sense of our own power, our own self-mastery, our own self-authority. And so, there is this idea of giving our power away. And where has that been taking place? This is a time where this can be really released, as well as just the intensity of this time. Scorpio allows us to connect with the depth of our emotions, with the intensity, and not shy away from it. Scorpio is connected with the 8th house, which is death, rebirth, transformation. And so, it's the shaman archetype, and it's this idea that we get to release outdated systems, outdated patterns to be able to move us forward.
Yeah, I love that you keep touching on freedom. I'm going to share a little a little download that came in that I believe encompasses some of that. So when I was connecting into the One Source Collective, the tagline that came in is "Time for Touchdown." Within a portal system access that parallels in many ways, albeit very unique in presentation, harmonic central sun convergence, opening some of the greatest cosmic gateways of participation within the human collective body template and that of the individual human blueprint. A grand facilitator of timeline convergence, a preemptive positioning within the universal and cosmic gateways of potential that come into greater physical participation and manifestation within the linear year 2027. So playing again off of the futuristic sort of positioning of what's taking place right now. So I'll further share, when this came in, it was, like a wave of woe, because what was being shown is the level of transformation that is accessible through all the different gateways and portal accesses that are now gaining greater access, if you will, through this conjunction that's taking place, brings in a system of transformation and transcendence, albeit unique to everybody's desired participation and showing up in presence, to that of what is often referred to as the harmonic convergence of, whenever that was, 90s or late 80s or something like that. Mm-hmm. So huge. And it's just starting to roll in. And what they were showing with that is, so it's saying like touch, time to touch down. So getting grounded into the physical body and beginning to get curious and active, the more we bring in our conscious currency and our awareness to this potential, this field of infinite, seemingly infinite potential, and we begin to attune our thoughts, our words, our actions, and our beliefs to this system, the more and more and more we are dissolving incongruent timelines that, and really bringing ourselves into a harmonic convergence with our highest timeline potential. So what and how we choose to navigate these epic energies of April, May, June, and yes, beyond, from this linear point, an astrological conjunction anew, greatly determines many aspects of our blueprint potential realized within this incarnation. and especially within the alignment of the pivotal and profound gateway openings of 2027. One highlighted aspect of this is both the collectives as well as the individual's access point to the archetype of transcendence, of which holds many, many golden keys to the higher octaves of consciousness, freedom, and the full unlocking of participation within the reincarnation wheel. So from my vantage point, so many things represent freedom, and freedom is, of course, a multiversal, multidimensional consciousness domain that's constantly evolving itself through different expressions of creation and facilitation of its essence of freedom, right? And through what is taking place here, this huge bridge, right? This huge, massive opening, having had so many incarnations, and I'm certain many of us here have as well, to be a part of participation in the dissolve of the confines and parasitic nature, if you will, of the reincarnation wheel is epic, right? It's one of the parts of this video game that is unparalleled, because the reincarnation wheel, we could go into that and that could be a whole time together, has really, especially for many, many souls who have a different relationship to it, right? That may have set up in their blueprint to be dependent upon those of us who've come in with higher sort of range of access to the playbook and to the navigational system of how, as an individuation, we can do our own part of dissolving it, right? So freedom is really at the forefront of so many layers of what's participating right now. And when that came through, I was like, yes, and we know, again, there's so many different ways in which we're all participating in our own unique relationship with the dissolve of that reincarnation wheel. But the other thing that was interesting, and I'm so curious to see what your response to this will be, is that through this resurrection, if you will, or greater access and participation of the golden sphere of potential that beacons itself through our sun, and again is sort of like a mirroring divine and organic technology of the central sun of all that is. It brings in and opens up like a huge activation of the up-leveling of the blueprint of the galactic center. And so if it dilates and expands the potential of our interface of one of the many and certain blueprints of the galactic center, and that in and of itself opens a whole new game plan. And so when they're talking about really going in, going big, playing big, going big, coming home, the more we participate in this harmonic convergence that is spoken of, and all the different layers and levels of what's been brought through, the more we can access and transcend our blueprint to access the higher octaves of what is expressed as this new blueprint of the galactic center. And someone might be like, okay, great, what does that mean? Well, it's beyond, I'm sure, words and description. However, what I see and what is being brought forth right now is it allows us to transcend some of what was previously a limitation of our blueprint construction based on the limitations of the reincarnation wheel, and gives us greater access to bringing in the technology, the organic divine technologies and gifts and abilities that are more expressed within other multiversal, multi-dimensional aspects of ourself, if you will.
That's a phenomenal way of articulating that, and so exciting. And I feel that there is such a significant access point with this conjunction to the galactic center. And the galactic center, as you so beautifully described, is a higher point of consciousness that allows us to connect with different multiversal systems. And so, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it feels unparalleled. It feels like, just having some curiosity around it, and really, attuning ourselves, commanding in and connecting with our higher selves. Okay, what does this mean for me? How, what am I able in this now moment to access of this potential transcendence, and, and bringing in of the further connection to my multiversal gifts, and ask and you shall receive. A lot of times we'll receive this type of information. It seems overwhelming. We're almost like, what the heck are they even talking about? But if we allow ourselves to get curious with it and to explore it, I think this plays into another big download that came in. We're moving further and further and further. We're moving more and more into, let's just put it that way, really allowing ourselves to trust in our own perception of truth, right? Allowing ourselves and giving ourselves permission to feel into, what does this mean for me? I understand the general constructs of what's being shared, let's say by me, in this. And yes, it resonates, but what does this mean for me? How does this look for me? Because we all come in here with so many unique facets to our blueprint that could never be shine in the same, perspective as another person's facets, because they all are one system of participation. So to your sharing, it's time for, speak your voice, share your wisdom, ignite your creativity, allow yourself to trust in it. And here's how it plays into the other thing about valuing. And don't look to anyone outside of you to receive validation, because how could someone ever fully validate something that could only uniquely come through you, right? So it's like a major trust fall coming into play.
1000%. Yeah. And I just have to highlight this conjunction is occurring in the gate 23, which is connected with the gate of assimilation. It's found in the throat center. And the shadow of this is a fear of articulation, because of a fear of getting it wrong, a fear of not being able to express complex ideas. But the gift of this is to be able to express in your own unique way of expressing, and that radical ideas can be expressed with simplicity. And so I love that you bring that through, because yes, there is such an invitation to express your own unique, authentic truth, your own voice, because we all have such unique ways of seeing what's happening, seeing the energy, connecting with it. And I agree. I feel like it's about really embodying what this time means for you personally.
So good. And just, I think a day or so ago, another beam of diamond light was shining through to highlight the current languaging, that we most refer to as, our communication, right? Our communication through sound. That's coming to the forefront of its, of its binary codex, of its bi-wave codex, right? Of its incongruencies, if you will, with the Trinity codex, the tri-wave codex. So as these plasma systems come in to facilitate, and to highlight and to bring into greater birth and resurrection, the original codex of creation here, our languaging is we're given the opportunity to find our own languaging in it too. And so the light language, which is remains somewhat of a mystery and quite bizarre to many, including my family members. Oh, well, that's coming through in big ways too. So we may not even find our true and authentic voice initially through what we have known as English, French, Spanish, whatever our native language. We may find our original sound codex and languaging through toning, humming, light language, which is the interpretation, is sound interpretation of the plasmic fields of light and, plasma and light that are coming through, that are engaging the up-leveling technology of the voice of source, or, our monadic template, if you will, right? So getting creative with it, right? And again, the more we can just be, in a place of childlike curiosity and joy, and and let go of paying homage and and beliefs and value to how others perceive us, not from a place of like like forget about you. I don't care what you think. Not from a place of that, from a place of compassion for you, compassion for me. I'm in a place right now where I'm being prompted to really go big and come home. In doing so, I'm letting go of allowing your perception of how I participate in life deter me from participating in the in the most exalted expression of my authentic self, right? And so compassion for them, because we've all played that role, right? We've all played the role of the judge, and this is the way to do it, and that's weird, and and that's all for great purpose as well. But it is immaculate freedom when you truly let go of because what it does really is they're judging us, but the only reason why it's creating a trigger or a charge is because we're paying belief, we pay our conscious currency into validating it. And we judge ourselves. So the more we can let that go, we create the invitation for others to be, because when others see that you're in the flow of joy and ecstasy and creativity and flow and authenticity, and you're accepting of everybody else, no matter where they stand in the way of their judgment, it's a huge invitation for others to be able to do the same. It's a complete reality shifter and timeline shifter.
Liberation.
Heck yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. What a beautiful way to, I feel, bring this to fruition and really embrace our own authentic expression. Such an exciting time.
Yeah, it is indeed. Is this a good transition point into opening up for questions and revelations and explorations?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. And thank you all for hanging with us. It's a lot that has come through in such a exciting and beautiful way. I think there are some go big and come home. Love it. Love this, and so feel the same about language. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, don't be shy. If you have something, this is a revelation or a question to explore. I think that's one for you.
Yeah. So anything to share around this conjunction activating any personal planets? Well, it's, I think, helpful to look at where you have 21 degrees of Taurus and where that is occurring in your personal natal chart. And so if you do have planetary energies that are around this energy system in your natal chart, they're obviously going to be activated at this time. There's going to be a blending of those energies. So if you have Venus that's in your natal chart in Taurus, for example, there is connecting not only with your dreams, right, and dreaming in a bigger way for the future, but what does that look like from a perspective of beauty, of creativity, of connecting with that which you love, with your relationships. So that might be an example of how you can pull in the different energies. But you might also have planets that are in the fixed signs that are going to be activated also through this conjunction of energy. And I think it's important to, highlight that it's not just this day, right? They've been within 10 degrees of each other since 2023. So this is a large energy system that has taken place over a significant amount of time, and it's being really activated at this time. But of course, this is an area of our lives, of our consciousness, that's being invited to expand, to get bigger, to move us forward into the future. So looking at what house this is occurring in and any planetary bodies that are being activated really helps to get a further sense of you personally, individually, how you're being activated, how you're being expanded into the future.
Ooh, yeah. And now I'm curious. I'm like, where is my 21-degree chart? Who am I? Yeah, one thing I'm hearing in this, and I don't know if this is who this is for all of us, but who knows how it fits into this, is the invitation to create daily participation and ceremony with the elements to create the deeper unified field. So what is my relationship with water? How can I create deeper relationship, deeper connection, deeper remembrance? What is my relationship with fire? What is my relationship with earth? You know, and of course, these elements are threaded through everything, inclusive of ourselves. But it feels like it also assists us in attuning to, you know, questions such as this, like, what is my role in this, and how does it express? The elements are multiversal wisdom keepers. They are unified fields of unwavering devotion to, you know, to the law of one, yes. Right? Resurrected. So, you know, being here as a human is such a unique gift and experience and opportunity. And so really allowing ourselves to get playful and get deep and harmonizing in this way, because I feel like, you know, and now I'm seeing more, I'm like, why is this dropping in right now? It helps us to attune and to ground and to connect and to expand into our own unique expression and facilitation of everything that's taking place right now. And it also almost creates this like unified, nourishing, guiding, and I hesitate to use this word, but we know what it means, like sort of protecting system and bubble of harmonics, of earth harmonics, so that we decrease our level of overwhelm. And, you know, there's so much information coming in, that of the organic technology, and to come all the way full circle, that of the inorganic technology and the AI technology. So that was a huge drop in this week, is how can I, not in a place of resistance or in a place of warring frequency per se with AI, because we realize that that actually powers and boots it up even more, because we're still in a place of our life force energy being harnessed by participation in lower vibrational emotions. And that actually is sort of the loosh that is utilized to further facilitate these systems of AI. So, but rather, how can I neutrally, lovingly amp up, ramp up, and ignite the unified field of elemental connection within my own template, which is therefore within the human template, that then offsets and creates that bubble for all of humanity, right? So the less we choose to appropriate our conscious currency into our phones, into the computer, into becoming a cell phone tower by wearing an Apple Watch, or, you know, the more we connect back into, and as, you know, I am one with the earth, air, water, fire, ether, diamond blue plasma. We really create a nourishing field of access for everybody else to do the same.
Yes, so beautifully expressed. And that's, I feel Taurus energy really allows us and invites us to return to the earth, to return to nature, to know that we are nature. You know, it's that exalted goddess energy connected with all of the elements. And I love how you remind us to really ask those questions of self-inquiry. You know, another question that we can ask at this time is, where can I have more faith in myself? Where can I be more confident in my own abilities? Where am I being invited to forge my own path of uniqueness?
Yeah, I am immaculate courage. I am, right?
Yeah.
And trust for that. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I celebrate when I see and feel somebody embodying their authentic, like, it's an unparalleled level of excitement and joy that bubbles up within me. I'm like, yes, yes, you know, it's because it's so beautiful and it's so unique, and you can feel it. It's it's beyond words, right? It's just like, yeah, it's just, it's such an amazing thing to be able, an honor to witness it. And of course, my deepest devotion, declaration, prayer, however one is to, to be a part of that through my own, path of embodiment, and to celebrate, and to support and to nourish all others in doing the same, because it is so exciting to see somebody come into, the full expression and celebration and essence and, their own song.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, apparently I'm just in love with Earth. The birds, right? All you have to do is go outside and listen to the birds. I mean, I have like waves of ecstasy every day that I go on a walk. Like tears come to my eyes. Like, the birds, they're singing their song, they're doing their thing. Like they don't care.
Yeah.
Like they're a bird. They came in to be a bird. They came in to sing their bird song, and it's beautiful and it's so liberating. And yeah, so, and, that plays into too, there's something very unique and special and profound of the access of communication and telepathy and deep, oneness that can be felt through the elements now that wasn't previously accessible. And the more and more and more we disengage and bathe, the static frequencies within our physical, mental, emotional, and spirit body complex of the sort of contrasting frequencies of inorganic nature, 5G, right? And we immerse ourselves in, that communication. I mean, I literally am like hearing things, like hearing the plants speak to me and having these moments of like crying, like smelling a flower. I'm like, what is going on? But I know what's going on at the same time, right? It's just, there's just such a deep homecoming in that connectivity. And of course, every single bell, whistle, and playbook has been brought out and is facilitating to preclude us, from remembering and accessing that. And yet that's not going to happen.
Yeah. So beautiful. A lot of my analogies and metaphors right now revolve around birth and pregnancy. So
Why?
I don't know why that might be. But I was seeing, as you were sharing, really, a baby in the womb, and there's no distractions, and yet they're so connected to their senses. And I feel that there is just this calling of creating our own womb space, that own 0 point, that own place of peacefulness, of stability, of inner peace and sanctuary at this time.
Yeah, and I can't remember who shared this at the beginning, and forgive me for that. Oh yeah, I do remember, it was Martine. Yeah, like preparing, right? She was saying how she feels like she's in a nesting phase right now. Heck yeah. It's like, what can I clean? What can I organize? Where can I create space? Everything is energy. Everything is energy programs. What is no longer in full resonance? What is no longer holding space within my space, that's in full resonance and congruence with, with what's taking place in this birth, right? In this rebirth.
Ooh, these are great questions.
Ooh, awesome.
Yeah.
Can I just shoot my question at you before I forget?
Oh yeah, yes.
So all around, circling around this, freedom and unity consciousness and stuff. So I've noticed for myself, as you're noticing more sensitive hearing, seeing, everything is like, I flip out of the birds too. And I'm like, who are you? Like, why? It's too funny. But in any case, I've noticed more sensitivity to electromagnetic disturbance and how that is affecting the physical body, the imbalance between the right and the left in myself. And how does this, this whole connection to orgamic union, right? How to how to navigate all of that. So I'm just wondering if you have anything that's coming to you up and around that, the connection to the body, the electromagnetic disturbances, and the left and the right, and all of that. Does that
Yeah,
make any sense?
yeah, totally
Because
makes
I
sense.
feel like there's more of it now. Like I feel like I'm trying to get to sleep at night, and it's like, what is this? You know, it's like really, it really feels aggressive, and it's just not fun. You
Yeah,
know, I don't
yeah.
know.
Well, so there's so many avenues that, you know, one can explore with, because of course, as we know, and it can't be said enough, we all have unique blueprints. And so therefore we all have unique relationships to everything that's palpating, you know, through the present forecast, if you will. So everybody attunes to different technologies and solutions, will quote unquote, right, we'll call them. And so it might just be curiously exploring and playfully exploring which ones work best for you in this now moment, and knowing, you know, things are, the space-time continuum continues to dissolve in its previous relationship to how we experience reality. So moment, season, lifetime, and what does that even mean anymore? Because they all have a unique relationship. So in other words, what might work for you today may only work for you today, and then, you know, 5 days from now it's part of your blueprint to you know, to dive into a new avenue of exploration of what could assist you in softening the heightened extrasensory technologies and so forth that are taking place. And it's real. Like, I get you, sister. Like, everything, smell, sound, felt sense. Whoa, right? It's like, I think I'm a part wolf, and maybe I am. I don't know. I can smell it. I'm like, oh my God, you know. So some things that might be simple and easily accessed are grounding sheets, right? Grounding sheets, grounding shoes, grounding technologies, things like this that, you know, assist us. And also those types of tools are amazing. And then if we participate even more consciously in them, and of course utilize our own unique abilities, gifts, and access points, we can up level the potency and the efficacy of these tools as well. So again, not to be redundant, but just to, you know, to spending more time in nature, spending less time, you know, in confined places, spending less time in areas that are heavily congested. I guess I'm going there. So, you know, spending time in spaces and places to, you know, to the best of one's, you know, so if you're in a heavily and densely populated area, you're going to know that you're in an area that where people have maybe received certain injectables that have now attuned them as cell phone towers as well. So coming out of heavily populated and dense areas, even if, and if one says, well, I can't really do that. Like, even for small periods of time, rebooting, grounding, connecting, you know, disengaging. But again, the elements, we have forgotten. We have forgotten. The more unified we become with the elements, the more we remember, I am water, I am earth,
Well,
I
I
am
did
fire.
actually recently do a download of the Platonic solids, the sacred geometry. So it is really, and I've got an altar set up with the elements now that I'm working with. So I don't know
Perfect. Perfect.
if, but
Yes.
the whole imbalance between the right and the left, kind of like, I'm wondering what's going on with that, and what is it that I can do or not do there.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah, because I can
remember,
really feel it in my right and my left hemisphere, the right side of my body, the left side of my body.
well, here's something to remember too. You know, you directing your consciousness, you know, and bringing forth, okay, I declare and attune to the, you know, to the direct harmonization and balance of left and right, right? Bring in the breath. And I'm hearing this and feel into this. Putting your tongue on the top of, on the roof of your mouth, on your upper palate. Mm. almost like you're an N.
An N or an M?
N as in Nancy. So, uh,
N-
and while you're doing that, you
ah,
take some breaths and okay, I'm activating the full balance and harmonization of left and right brain. I am immaculate divine union. I am, right? I come into balance, show me softly, gracefully, gently, the thoughts and the beliefs that I hold within myself consciously and subconsciously that bring me into a place of and felt sense of being unaligned or imbalanced within the left and right. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Feels good. So try that out. Try that out. And maybe
let's all try it out right now.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because I'm sure your question beacons out to many right now. Again, so much reconfiguration, so much rebirth, so much crumbling, like Em said, so that it can resurrect right into this new version. And it's can be quite uncomfortable at times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Martine. We have more questions?
Yeah, there's, and that is a perfect question that leads into the question about a lack of sleep and just all of the energy that's transpiring at this time. I definitely resonate with that recently. And, I just, for myself personally, I found myself going outside at, I think, 2 o'clock in the morning this morning and just breathing in the fresh air and listening to the birds and connecting with my breath. And so there is a heightened energy, and for those of us, which are probably all of us that are very sensitive to energy, we can feel that at this time. And I would just say be gentle with yourself. Find ways to nourish, to create safety, to calm yourself, to find that peacefulness even when sleeping is difficult. And another question that kind of ties into this is, well, is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, again, not to be redundant, but to be redundant, grounding sheets, because again, and the elements, apparently the elements are really wanting to come through today. Putting on nature sound, like a white noise, right? Grounding sheets. Here's something that, my thinking mind wanted to negate, and then I did it as per the direction of my highest self, and it worked. I'm like, no way. Which is not only every night before I go to bed do I participate in a practice, a non-negotiable daily practice of hygiene, of energetic hygiene, of really being clear with how I declare my energetic fields to be held within the sleep state. But I also, you can take it a step further in that to ground your energetic fields into direct connection and guidance and support and nourishment of the central crystal Earth Star core, or if that terminology seems foreign or unfamiliar, you could even say, into the womb center or into the heart center of Gaia. But get really clear your fields, state a clear intention of how you, as the director of your light ship, as the creator of your reality, desire to participate within the sleep state, not from a place of asking like, oh, please, allow me to sleep tonight, right? Because that sends a lot of mixed messages to the universe, and also sends a lot of invitations to perhaps energies that are not fully aligned. So really getting clear and commanding it in. I bathe my energetic fields, I support my energetic fields, I nourish my energetic fields, I close out all programs. I close out and declare that, the closure and the dissolve in any and all programs consciously and unconsciously participated in, in accordance to the highest divine law and order. And then the other night, so this is something that's been in participation for many years now, but then the other night, because I was guided to do a 4-day water fast, and I know from previous times of doing water fasts, that my sleep tends to get, disrupted because of the deep cellular purge, right? I said, okay, I declare that I sleep peacefully, gracefully, with ease, in a deep, and nourishing way. I mean, I'm not going to chalk it up to coincidence. I literally slept through every night of this fast without disruption, which is somewhat I mean, I've done a lot of them at this point, and I was like, wow, okay, like just as much as, like Martine was saying, how there's such a heightened sense of technology, of communication taking place. Our clarion call, our declarations have clearer and more direct pathways to participation now as well. So how we're choosing to participate, whether it be in the flow of limitation or in the flow of infinite potential, is being potentialized through this deep, broad connection and access to the open source field as we've never experienced it before. Yeah.
Yeah.
And turn off your Wi-Fi. And also, I'll just share this, cell phone out of the room, Wi-Fi turned off. There is a huge up-leveling of broadcasting of certain frequencies that, let's just say, are not in the highest intention of human evolution, and that's up-leveled in this last week too. So look into different technologies. I'll share, there's so many of them out there. I like a company called Blue Shield, BLUSHIELD. So blue without the E, blueshield.com. They have different technologies. I find it very helpful. It definitely helps with the harmonics of sleep state. Hydrogen water, programming your cellular water, of which of course we're over 70% of, programming your water at night too. And again, plant consciousness, part of this huge elemental field. Everything, all these ancient, plants, and, whether it's valerian root, chamomile, lavender, and make yourself a ceremonial tea, maybe small quantities if you have a small bladder. You don't want to add another variable of sleep disruption. But make you can potentize it, right? And you can make almost like a tincture version of it, a concentrated version, if you're concerned about the intake of liquid. And pray into it, right? Harmonize into it. Call forth and call in, whatever frequencies I love working with the diamond plasma fields of creation. I call it in, I potentize, I bring, into full expression the highest blueprint, the highest vibrational bandwidth, the highest efficacy within my intention to sleep peacefully. There's so many ways that we've forgotten how we can participate in the smoother ride of these waves of ascension, and they're simple.
Yeah, so good.
Are you feeling like you want to move into the transmission, or should we go into more questions?
I think there's a couple more questions. Do you want to touch on that?
Okay, let me see if I can. Okay. What is the? Yeah, Linda, thanks for your share. There is an unwavering patience, because the elements, have no identity within the space-time continuum other than following the cues of and the harmonics of how they're being guided through the cues of the collective template, if you will, of Gaia, right? To attune to what we know as seasons right now. But outside of that, they're here in divine and unwavering service to all. So, what I feel like mirror in this, what you've shared, Linda, is that they mirror the opportunity for us to come into greater patience with ourselves, right? And maybe you even touched on that in your sharing, which felt like a transmission actually, which is why I was having a hard time reading. I was like, ooh. So yeah, you know, we have felt so far removed from our connection with nature, we don't even know where to begin. So, you know, maybe just going outside, sitting down, and communicating silently or loud. Okay, I'm here to reconnect, to come into union with you. You know, show me the way, type of thing, right? Just walking and witnessing and getting curious, and yeah, there's just so many ways to reconnect and build our relationship. And ceremony, life is a ceremony.
Yes. And
Oh, that's a good question. Should I touch on that?
yeah.
Okay, so what if we live and sleep in the same room with someone who has been injected in with, you know, with recent technologies? So first and foremost, dissolving and disengaging from all fear, right? From all fear, because that was created within it's a massive supercomputer and system, and we could spend an entire a unity on just going into the curious exploration of how that has been created and increasingly woven within the quantum fabric. However, you know, dissolving all separation from those who felt within their blueprint, you know, and were called to receive that technology, dissolving all judgment, dissolving all warring frequencies, dissolving all this good, that bad, right? And just really allowing ourselves to see, you know, where in our nervous system have we felt a sense of fear or fight or flight or you know, or warring or judgment or separation, because that was part of the purpose of it, was to create this separation. So the more we can attune and come into, you know, honoring and even celebrating each individuation's sovereign blueprint and their choices, no matter, you know, the why behind it. The why is really for the person who has made the choice to or not to celebrate in, right? So feeling into that, because that's a big part of it. If we are holding on to fear, if we are holding on to separation, if we're holding on to judgment, then we're actually attuning ourselves to the very frequencies that are beaconing out as a massive quantum computer system that technology with its many nanoparticles is participating in with, right? And it's to our detriment, and it's actually quite to the detriment of those who have the technology within, you know, within their tissues as well, right? So the more we can come into this place of neutrality and dissolve of all participation in fear, that's a huge part of it, because then we melt a lot of layers of quantum entanglement, right? We everything is energy communicating with energy. So first and foremost, dissolve all of that. Honoring, where can I come into a place of honoring? Where can I dissolve all fear around that, all judgment, all anger, et cetera, right? That's a huge system of release right there. And then we simply can allow ourselves to one more, you know, again, attune, call in a system. I mean, I'll just share aloud what one of the ways in which I participate every night. I call in the beings of the highest prime source, greater light, love, law, and order, to create an impenetrable field of nourishing illumination above, below, side to side, all around, instantaneously transmuting, transcending any and all frequencies that are in direct duality and polarity to the highest expression of my most exalted blueprint here and now, in accordance to the highest divine law and order, nourishing me, supporting me, guiding me through sleep state, you know, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm not protecting myself, because there's nothing to fear but the frequency of fear itself creating more fear, right? So I'm doing it out of nourishment. I'm doing it out of love and adornment of my energetic fields, right? So if we do that, perfect. I mean, mic drop. You know, if we if we don't trust it, if we're doubting it, if we're doubting ourselves, if we're doubting our connection, those are all entry points, create a porousness within, what it is that we've just declared. So say, and I offer the same flow of divine support, nourishment, guidance to all of those around me in accordance to their highest blueprint, in accordance to the highest divine law and order, right? So we can share that too in a way of, if it's meant for them, great. I'm calling it out into the field. If it's not, they'll take it, they'll leave it, type of thing, right? So those are some ways in which we can navigate these situations, because we're not meant to create more and more systems of separation. We're meant to create more and more experiences and connections of deep unity within ourselves and within our relationship with everybody, from my vantage point. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Okay.
Amazing questions.
Yeah, what a beautiful co-creation.
Yeah.
We have a powerful, potent, omnipotent group of divine beings here co-creating this today, and so honored and grateful for that. Do we feel that it might be time? Okay. So for those of you who feel in resonance and called to participate, there is a transmission that desires to come through, a meditative transmission that desires to come through. And this greater intention of this transmission is to bring us into the greatest harmony, attunement, balance, and connection to the unified field of elements, and to all layers and systems of access of all the highest source frequencies that are accessible and palpating and present within this huge system of energy in which we are navigating right now. So inviting everybody to close their eyes if you feel guided, to drop into your heart centers, and the invitation to connect to a rhythm of breath that feels most nourishing and expanding. Perhaps for you, a breath, if you're feeling a lot of anxiety, a breath that is most softening, right? So there's so many different types of breath that we can engage. So feeling into, connecting into, what type of breath is most nourishing? What type of breath is most engaging for me in this now moment? It could be a deep rhythmic breath, such as a breath work type of breath of a which brings greater and greater communication and deep penetration, if you will, to our cellular DNA and cellular waters, carries our personal intention and the intention, the general intention of this transmission into sort of faster and deeper access, if you will. But all breath, whether fast and rhythmic or slow and steady, is in deep and depthful communication with our soul and with our cells. Breath plus clear intention equals profound inner alchemy. So finding that flow of breath that feels most aligned for you in this now moment. Closing your eyes, taking a few moments perhaps to really connect deeply and clearly into the heart, into the center of your heart, into that radiant, cosmic, eternal gateway of 0 point within. And as you do so, connecting to your clear intention. What is it that I, as an infinite being of pure source radiance, desire to create, to manifest, to ignite through my clear intention of here and now? Opening the heart, dropping in, opening the heart, dropping in, connecting to that clear intention. Breathing, surrendering, breathing, allowing, breathing, attuning. Going deeper and deeper and deeper. Staying with that breath. As you go deeper into the waters, into the cellular waters that are igniting within the diamond fields of light that flow down and through and all around your physical, mental, emotional, and spirit bodies, how can I surrender even more? How can I surrender and open to the flow of creation anew? The creational waters of my divine blueprint ignited within. I let go, I release. I let go, I release. All fear of the unknown. I let go, I release. I let go, I release. I let go, I release. All fear of creation anew. I open the pathways, portals, meridians, and gateways to the fluid, graceful, and joyful flow of creation, the creation that is directed through my highest source self, the creation that desires to ignite through my infinite potential that is accessed within. I call through, I call in, I call home into full embodiment, the highest expression of my oversoul here and now. Andala prayani Andrea, wahi andaya naya, oh, 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 andare, andaye, andare, andare, andayo, oh, 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 Priyasari andai andrai andai andrai andrayan, oh, 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 Plalat ulea sabre sundreni andrana, hauna una una una, hauna una, flowing, opening, as we feel the radiance of the sphere of golden potential, beaming, radiating, flowing down as a gentle and omnipotent system of pure divine nourishment, pure divine alchemy, above, below, side to side, all around, carrying an infinite flow of solar frequencies, of the highest expressions of the creational codex of one, flowing down, flowing through, flowing all around. We feel our nervous system opening, releasing, melting away, all layers and levels of survival, all layers and levels of fight or flight held deeply within the tissues, letting go, releasing, letting go, releasing. As though we feel the deepest inner cellular massage taking place right now, with grace and ease, with flow, with compassion and love. I am immaculate peace. I am immaculate peace. I am immaculate peace. I am I open the systems and pathways and portals within to let go of all overproduction of any and all hormonal frequencies, cortisol, levels and layers of fight or flight that are ready to dissolve and release here and now, so that I may attune, balance, and harmonize all of my systems into the direct flow of Source I am, into the direct embodiment of union and unity I am. Pala alalwesaru niandran tayandraya o presaru niandra ha haru niandrana o raya niandrana ha ha o ha ha o ari andaru niandaya Pare andare andri andrana, pare andrare andri andrana, una, oh, oh, pa ayasundre biasundre yanala warsala wayasini andre niandra, opening, flowing as the radiant calm of pure golden solar plasma light nourishes us, bathes us, and brings us gently down and through the central channel of Sophia Gaia, Mother Earth, into the central crystal Earth star core, the micro of the macro, of the central sun of all creation, held in a radiant sphere within the center of the earth, holding us, nourishing us, grounding us, supporting us as we enter into the radiance of this pure white system of creational light, sound, and plasma. We find ourselves overflowing with the golden plasma solar codes. And as these codes flow down and through, we feel the spaces and places of discordance, dis-ease, discomfort, and worrying within beginning to melt away. Where can we surrender more in this now moment? Where can we allow ourselves full permission to come out of punishment frequencies, to come out of fear, to come out of all participation of fight or flight, to let go, to release, to let go, to release, to let go, to release. Palalo sandreni ambawita andaya o haria sandreni andra anda o Yandraya prayandaya andaya na o Yandra na o rasa preni andra na o andaria naya 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 la 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 vusuni andraina preya sutre sunri mi shunra la la wakaya sandrani para vuetra naya naya o apa sundrenia sundrenia la wasan, letting go, melting away. And as you let go and melt away the layers and levels of deep fight or flight, as you let go of the programs and come into the resurrection, into the full celebration and igniting of it is safe to be me, it is safe to be here. It is safe to be me. It is safe to be here. It is safe to be me. It is safe to be here. Ka ola olenianda ala okwai sauna. Ala olenia ala olenianda. Au ala olenianda. We alia olea aniana a olenianda ya. Hanna ruianda. Hanna urianda. Hanna urianda. We Anna ruena una, Anna ruena una, Anna ruena una. Ala usandre mesun, allowing, feeling, resurrecting the depth of cellular harmonization, attuning it to the most exalted expression of the unified field of the elements here and now. Kwasapo sunribiashni, andaraya saunaye, anda praya traya naune, andraya naya andrayana, ua praya nayandaya, o, Daya sai nayandi embre sushandrani andra, I am. I am one with the unified field of elements. I am. I am. I am one with the unified field of elements. I am. I am. I am one with the unified field of the elements. I am. Wa ala ulayasi au eniangala ala ulala eniandra nianaya. Au ala ula eni a okoria aliaso aniandra ula eniambapo a eniandrana. Ush ala la ki aniandra utta ala ush taniandrana. Undraya satre sundremiya shundraya andraya. Pasaru sinya sandramiya sandreni andra. Feeling, allowing, disengaging, releasing as you enter into deeper and deeper depths of release of all that no longer serves, and open to the nourishment, to the receiving of the sweetness of life eternal, resurrected, overflowing within. I open the gateways and pathways to the full resurrection of the highest expression of my life eternal here and now. The vitality, the joy, the compassion, the love, the harmonization and balance, the unity I am. Andaria presuria traia ya o. Andaria andaya o. Andaya ya o. Opening the gateways within, opening the gateways within to the immaculate freedom, to the immaculate joy, to the infinite potential and gateways of your own unique creational flow. I open, I ignite, I trust, I accept, I celebrate the unique spark of creation, of pure source I am. I melt away, release, disengage any and all systems of resistance, any and all systems of fear, any and all systems of resistance and fear to the perfect and immaculate expression of source I am. I am. I am. Pra alawasari andaya, habari andaya, andaya, andaya. Feeling now the radiance of the system of pure creational tri-wave codex flowing through, opening up, continuing to reveal to us the infinite potential that each and every one of us is, opening the gateways, the pathways, the access to all that expresses here and now within the human collective experience of the highest and most pristine divine light, love, plasma, law, and order, opening the pathways to immaculate clarity, revelation, remembrance, and trust, harmonizing the left, harmonizing the right, harmonizing the center as a one system of pure unity, resurrecting the divine union within, the balance, the harmony, the full participation as the one unified field of pure source radiance of the physical, mental, emotional, and spirit body. And feeling now the grace and the space of pure water, the radiance of pure consciousness of water, flowing above, flowing below, flowing all around, further assisting us in the depths of remembrance of our connection to and as this unified field of pure source, devotion, life, and radiance. And as the sacred waters of Divine Mother Source flow down and through and all around, we further wash away, purify, cleanse any and all chaos, confusion, anything and everything that is in direct polarity to the highest expression of our divinity here and now, washing it away, and assisting us now in grounding as we come back into the awareness and attunement with our heart center, allowing ourselves to bathe in the nourishment and the radiance of the pure diamond water codes present here. We begin to attune ourselves back into the awareness of our physical bodies and our physical space. We begin to ground ourselves, following the pathways of water moving down and through our entire central channel, down and through our feet, creating deep roots of connection, nourishment, support, guidance, feeling held in the radiance and remembrance. I am one with the elements. I am one with the earth. I am one with all. I am source. I am. Om Mari Nyandahaya Unaya O O O Nayanai Anayana O O O. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Taking our time, gently, lovingly, coming back into the presence of this now moment, coming back into the here and now as you feel guided and ready to do so. Gentle reminder to everyone to really allow yourself the opportunity to hydrate today, especially with the frequencies of the transmission, desiring extra suppleness and malleability to flow through all the different crystalline filaments of our higher octaves of DNA that are coming back online. So hydrate, ground, connect in nature. Yeah. How do the baby like it? Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for bringing your beautiful light and love and unique divine harmonics to this experience and co-creation of today. And may everything that you have in your heart as your clear intention now and moving forward come into graceful, fluid manifestation. We're delighted and grateful to have had this opportunity together.
Thank you all so much. Sending so much love.
See you next time.